Welcome to the Harvey Hour. It's Friday, July 15th, 6:26 p.m. We are live. I'm here with my dad, Stephen Harvey, once again. Thank you for being on the show today.
Happy to be here.
I want to start off with more Tom Brady news. We don't hear much out of the NFL right now because we're in the midst of a dry patch for the NFL. But Tom Brady recently did an interview with Variety where his official end of football and end of his career was put into question. The question goes, do you know when you're going to be done playing football? Tom Brady says, I really don't. I would say it's year to year. Could this be my last year? Absolutely. Could he change his mind? Absolutely. I realized I don't have 5 years left. He wants to do it his own way, he said. And then he also asked, you won 7 Super Bowl championships. Did you come back because you want one more? And he says, I think that would obviously be the greatest way to end. I just have a competitive fire that got the best of me. And I think that's, that sums up Brady pretty well. Of course, he couldn't deny the competitive nature of football. Golf doesn't have that same competitive fire to it. So what do you think Brady will actually end his career after this year, or do you think he'll keep on playing? Because, once again, he has that 10-year, $375 million Fox deal to be a lead analyst. So he would just be transitioning right into that. So do you think this is his last year, or do you think he has more years left?
I think if he wins the Super Bowl, it's definitely his last year.
Right.
If he doesn't, it could be if he got deep into the playoffs.
Right.
Last year he got deep into the playoffs, the championship game, and lost it, but decided to retire, but then changed his mind. This time, I think if he gets deep into the playoffs and doesn't win it, he might retire. But if he wins the Super Bowl, I think he'd definitely retire.
Yeah, I think, he said it right. He said it himself right now. I think that would obviously be the greatest way to end, is to have that last Super Bowl win. His 8th championship, his 11th go-around. He said his body feels good. He says, I've had a lot of traumatic injuries over the years, but if things go smoothly and we win, that'd be great. So I think he basically saying, it depends, obviously, right? There's one more year left on his deal with the Bucs. Could he actually, let's say they make it to the championship game and they lose to, let's say, the Rams, for instance. Does he come back? Does he come back with the Bucs? Does he come back with another team? There was those Miami rumors.
I don't think he ever come back with another team now.
There were the Miami rumors of him and Sean Payton, and Sean Payton was in the news yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
About teasing his potential return, though, with the Saints. That was the potential return with the Saints because it was originally with the Dolphins, but then they hired Mike McDaniel. So do I think Brady could go? I think Tua is in a serious hot seat. So do I think that Brady could be the next quarterback of the Dolphins? Potentially. Would it surprise me if he plays 2-3 years? Not at all. Would it surprise me that if he plays 2-3 years without not on the Buccaneers? No, it wouldn't surprise me. Because I think, at this point in his career, he has basically every accolade in the regular season that he possibly can, making this his 23rd year at the age of 45. He's going to break 100,000 total passing yards by the end of his career anyway. So he has all these accolades. I think the only thing now for him to do is win Super Bowls. And so that's why he came with the Bucs. They got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they got Russell Gage, they brought back Leonard Fournette. They have a pretty decent defense, especially in the run game. They have a very good rushing defense. The passing defense.
JPP back with them?
No. JPP and Ndamukong Suh are both not back.
They're both not back.
But that's why they drafted Joe Tryon-Sharinka, or whatever his name is, the edge rusher. And they also have Shaq Barrett on a 3-4 year deal. So they still have Levante David.
Their secondary is still questionable.
Because their guys are super young, but they got Logan Ryan.
They did?
Yeah, they got Logan Ryan. He's a little bit old, though. So
he's smart, though.
That's true. What's it called? Tom Brady played with him.
Yeah.
He was on the Patriots.
He was with the Patriots for quite a few years.
Yeah. And then he went over to the Titans, right?
That'd be interesting.
And then the Giants.
I'd be surprised if he wins the Super Bowl this year. I think he's done.
And if he doesn't, how many?
He doesn't. He may come back, but again, if he goes deep into the playoffs, he might decide to hang him up. But going to another team, I see that as somewhat of a long shot, particularly given he's got one more year contract with Tampa Bay, right? What would they say? They're not going to let him out of the contract, probably.
Well,
why would they let him out, right? He got a good deal.
He'd be a free agent by the end of it. So
But he had to play one more year after this year with them, right?
No, this is his last year.
Oh, I thought he had one more year. I thought you said he had one more year.
This is his last year.
Oh.
because he signed an extension last year
I
to
thought it
lower
was
his
a
cap number.
2-year. There was a 2-year extension.
No, I'm pretty sure this is Brady's last year. Regardless, though, let's say he plays Let's say he plays 3 years max. Are the Bucks going to sign him for another year? Let's say it is this and next year.
They get deep in the playoffs. Why wouldn't they?
Because maybe they're lining up for someone else. I mean, they drafted
They're
Kyle
a win now
Trask.
team. We've been win now for a while, and it's been a smart move for them because they've been winning.
They have been, and that's large part due to Tom Brady. This is weird. So apparently, I guess these are for void years. Yeah, this is his last contract year
With the Bucks.
but there's void years until 2026, technically.
What the void years mean?
I have no idea, but
Why would they be in the contract if they were voided?
because it lowers his cap per year,
Oh.
right? It's that stretching out of his salary that people like. That's how the Chiefs are able to afford Patrick Mahomes by having most of his salary in
20,
signing
35.
bonuses and stuff like that. The straight up cash and not having it progress over time. So yeah, right now his base salary is $1.12 million this year. Signing bonus of $10.7 million. He's a $11.8 million cap hit. He's $47 million dead cap, which is crazy. But yeah, he's technically signed he's signed through 2026 when he's 49 years old, which is this website has it weird though because it says 2023 at the age of 50. He's that doesn't make any sense.
That's not right.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, we'll see.
They did restructure it though. If
he went to the Dolphins, then he'd have to play against Belichick twice every year.
And I think that was the big motivation the first time around. When the first time it was brought up, the idea was him, Sean Payton go over to Miami, then they have to face Belichick twice a year, and
Yeah.
it shows like, oh yeah, you made the mistake letting me go. But I mean, no, Brady said it himself though. He knew
Belichick gave him a good game the time they played in Foxborough against Tampa.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I think that was a big. Tom Brady did not play well in that game.
Why? Why didn't he play well?
It wasn't.
They had a
Belichick.
scheme. They had a scheme. They had a scheme. That's why I didn't play
I don't
well.
believe that. I think
I do.
I think it's strictly because of the fact the emotional aspect of it.
Yeah, maybe that was a little bit of it, but he didn't have anyone to throw to. He was back there looking around. There was nobody open. Yeah.
The rush wasn't that good against Brady though. So
But he did.
had
I
decent
agree.
time
He
in the
didn't have a
pocket.
great game. Mac Jones played better than he did that game.
Yeah.
The mistake they made in that game is they should have gone for it on fourth down when they were so far away. It was raining out hard, and they made him come in and kick a field goal. It was too far away.
Yeah. And the Patriots had a chance to win
And
it.
they completed every pass up until then. It was just a tip pass that
Yeah.
he should have gone for it. I think I was disappointed in that game. Yeah.
This is his last year, by the way, with the Bucks. This is his final contractual year.
Yeah. Okay.
So they would need to extend him,
Yeah.
which do I think they could? I don't know. You're betting on a 45-year-old quarterback.
Yeah. I think if he was going to play another year, he'd want to stay with them because he knows the personnel, he knows the system. And probably the system might change a little bit this year with a new head coach, right? Or they may
Bowles,
go more
yeah.
in his direction, what he wants it to be, right?
It could.
So
It could.
I would say he'd stay with them.
That's what I think
If
Brady's
he
probably
came
hoping
back.
I'm sure he's hoping for it to go more in his direction because, he's 45. You had Bruce Arians who was like a dictator over what they were doing. Byron Leftwich seems to know what he's doing very, very well.
Yeah.
So I think, you know what? I'm pretty sure Todd Bowles is going to... If I had to guess, I think Todd Bowles would stay out of the offense. I think that it would be more up to Byron Leftwich and Brady making their own schemes. Have Todd Bowles focus on what he knows best, which is the defense. Maybe put an input there in offense every once in a while, but leave it up to Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady. Let them run it, and then see how that goes.
I'm pretty sure that's what they'll do.
The biggest question I have, though, and we'll get to this later in the show, is whether or not they could win without Gronk. Because he isn't going to be there. He retired. But
His stats were good both years, right? I mean, he was a big contributor. He caught a lot of touchdown. He made some very key plays. He caught touchdown passes. He was a great blocker. He was important for their team. Without him, who knows? I mean, they have another good tight end, but maybe not Gronk's caliber.
no tight end is really
Cameron
on Gronk's.
Brate.
Yeah, Cameron Brate. And they also
And this is
drafted
another guy?
two other tight ends.
And they have a second tight end beside the Well, a third one if you count Gronk. Who was the other guy?
O.J. Howard, he's
O.J.
gone.
Howard,
he's
he's gone.
He went to the Bills.
Oh.
So, I mean, they drafted 2 tight ends, though, in the draft. So, could they... No one's going to be on Gronk's level. That's period, end of story. But can they just be good enough to help Brady? Like, for instance, in Super Bowl 50... Or no, Super Bowl... Was it 51? Where Gronk got hurt? And yeah, I think it was the Falcons Super Bowl. Gronk did not play in that Super Bowl. And they had Martellus Bennett, who was good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough. But could Cameron Brate be that? I mean, Brady also, in that team, that Super Bowl winning team, 2016, their receivers were nobodies, right? You had, I mean, besides Edelman, you had Danny Amendola.
Oh, he's not nobody.
Danny Amendola.
He was good.
Chris Hogan.
Chris Hogan was serviceable receiver.
But I'm
He had
saying,
a good year.
like these aren't people who you would double team, right? These were essentially basic NFL.
Obviously, it was a mistake. Those guys had
Obviously,
great games in the playoffs.
That's why.
Who
Brady's,
else? Hey, Gronk. Well, he didn't play.
Gronk didn't play. You had Martellus Bennett. You had Edelman, Amendola. Who else did I say? You had Malcolm Mitchell.
Yeah, who was good.
Who? Yeah, he was good. He retired. He retired after that year, by the way. He got his ring.
He hurt himself so badly he couldn't play anymore.
You had Chris Hogan. Then you had James White, who was the biggest contributor in that game. Biggest contributor. And then you didn't have Sony Michel at the time. He came in 2 years later. Who else was Brandon Bolden, I guess you could say you had. And who was the other back? Because it wasn't Sony Michel. It was Deion Lewis, I think. Deion Lewis was there. So they had a pretty good team.
I mean, they had a great team.
But like compared to the rest of the receivers in the NFL, they were so deep. And if you have that depth and each receiver is good, not great, good, with 1 or 2 great receivers, you could win like that.
Yeah, well, having the greatest quarterback of all time throwing to him helps a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And plus you had James White, who was a phenomenal receiving running back. So you had that makeup. And does this Bucs team have something like that? They have Leonard Fournette. They have
pretty good.
Giovanni Bernard that they brought back.
He's pretty good, too.
They lost Ronald Jones, who...
he was okay. I don't think he's a big
I'm pretty
loss.
sure you still have Keyshawn Vaughn, who is like a deep third string.
Yeah. They have a good offensive line.
They do. They lost one to retirement. And I think they also lost one to free agency. But they brought back, I think it was Ali Marpet. They got Shaq Mason they stole Shaq Mason from the Patriots. So you make that up. You have Tristan Wirfs, who's healthy now. So you still have Donovan Smith as your other tackle. You have a pretty good O-line, a very, very good O-line.
I'd say very good.
The only question mark is
Shaq
the
Mason is a very good offensive lineman.
Shaq Mason's a top 3 guard every year.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. And the fact that he got him for a 5th round,
I'm surprised
that's
by that.
robbery.
That was robbery.
That's robbery.
Yeah.
So
maybe he's got some physical things that we don't know about that the Patriots are worried about. Yeah.
Potentially. I want to move on to this. I said in the last Harvey Hour, which was 3-4 days ago, that ESPN came out with this top 10 ranking of all the best QBs going into this year. And we had my rating where I basically listed off my top 10. You can go back and watch that for yourself. And I said that I need you to do your top 10. And so this is the list he gave me. We're going to go 1 to 10 now. We did 10 to 1 for me, and then we'll compare each top 10
I want
at the end of it.
Make sure everyone knows that when I did this list, this is based on where performance at the end of this year. This will be after the year is over. You'll look back and say who were the best 10 after this year. So I'm projecting this list that will be based on their performance this year when it's all over. Not going into the year saying these are the top 10.
So at the 2023 offseason.
That's driving the car looking in the rearview mirror.
Right.
You come to a corner, you go right off the road.
Right.
So this is looking ahead. This is saying year's over, 2022, 23. Based on the performances that year, this year coming up, these are the top 10.
So you're saying 2023 offseason, end of February, beginning of March, whatever.
You look back and say these were the top 10. Yeah.
So number 1, Tom Brady.
That's right.
Why do you think he's number 1 in the league at the end
I
of
think
it?
he's the smartest one. I think the mental part of the game for the quarterback is the biggest part. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's lost much in terms of his physical abilities, but he was probably a little lax there in everyone's estimations to begin with. There, I mean, that's why he didn't get drafted. You look at his combine thing; him running around.
It was the ugliest running.
Ugly.
Yeah,
it was
ugly.
Terrible. It was ugly. But that's not what I don't think that's the most important thing for the quarterback, and he's proved it over the years. He wound up being the greatest of all time, without the total top physical, athletic abilities. Although he has a great arm, that's for sure, and that's important for a quarterback, right? So yeah, I think he's still number one. I think he's got what it takes. He's got the experience. He's got the smarts. He's got enough physical ability. Make it happen. He knows he knows where the pressure's coming from. He takes a hit real well. He rarely ever gets hurt. So I think he's number one.
Do you think he'll lead in any stats like passing yards per game, touchdowns, passer rating, anything like that?
I think he could lead in almost all those categories because he's got the wide receivers to make it happen. Although he doesn't have Gronk. Yeah, but he's got Godwin coming back. He's got Evans.
I think the touchdowns he might not lead in because Gronk got I have it right here. Gronk last year caught 6. Was it 6 or 8? I can't see. I'm blind. 6 touchdowns, yeah. And I'm pretty sure all of them were in the red zone. So Gronk and Mike Evans, insane red zone threats. So I think maybe touchdowns he might not lead in, but passing yards he threw for 5,300 passing yards.
Yeah, the one thing I might be different there on the passing yards. That was Arians. He liked to throw the ball deep. If they go more with Brady's approach, they might be more dink and dunk, and that might cut down on his yards some.
It could.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. Although he he can really throw the deep ball well. I mean, for the Patriots, he wasn't that really good at
not at all
throw because they didn't throw the ball deep.
Yeah.
But now he can do maybe he can do both. I mean, that would be outrageous, huh? Dink and dunk for a while and then throw the long ball.
Well, that's what he did towards the end of not this past season, the season beforehand. It was Bruce Arians' offense through the first 11, 12 weeks. Right. And then it was the bye week. And then they started to do motion. They started to do more screens. They started to do more drag routes and not as much down the field. And they won 8 straight and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you had number 1, Tom Brady, which I agreed with. Russell Wilson at number 2. Explain this one for me.
Okay. So Russell Wilson's going to a new team.
Yep.
Got something to prove.
True.
There's a big excitement there, and the wide receivers in Denver are pretty good, right? Jerry Jeudy, right? And who else do they have? They have somebody else who's pretty good, too.
They have Cortland Sutton. They have KJ Hamler. They have... I'm forgetting. There's another one that's pretty good. Can't think of
I think the Denver offensive line will be better than Seattle's. I think Russell Wilson suffered in Seattle because of the pressure that he was constantly under. And I think with a little more protection, he'll go back to being what he was when in the early years in Seattle. And I think that makes him the number 2.
They also have a very, very good running game too.
Yeah, so
they had 2 running backs that went over 900 yards.
They do the play action.
Yeah,
and with good receivers and a decent offensive line, better than Seattle's, I say Russell Wilson has an outstanding year.
I think the Broncos' running game actually kind of went unnoticed. They had 1,800 yards between 2 running backs, with 12 total touchdowns between those two. Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, both of them have over 900 yards rushing. So that went unnoticed. And I think, let's see, with receiving, in regards to receiving, you lost Noah Fant, who was your tight end. Tim Patrick, that's the receiver I'm thinking about. Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Those are your top 3 receivers. Those are pretty good receivers. Do you think, if you're putting it, if you're in retrospect now, you're thinking technically ahead, but in the offseason, do you think that the Broncos make the Super Bowl then? If he's at number 2, do you think the Broncos
they're definitely in the playoffs?
Okay.
If he winds up number 2, they'll definitely get in the playoffs. On the AFC, just thinking who you got Buffalo, you got. I'm not sure Kansas City's going to be that great this year. I don't think so. You got the Chargers. I think the Broncos. Well, they're in the same division, so we'll know pretty much whether when we get to the playoffs whether the Chargers are up there or not. Right? You have the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are going to be that great. I think they were a flash in the pan last year. Now they have a new head coach. I think they made a mistake. They should have stuck with the other one. He got them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they won a game. They won a playoff game too.
They did.
And they got rid of the guy. That was not. I don't think that was a smart move. So
Russell Wilson,
I think
two?
Russell Wilson's number 2.
Number 3,
Joe Burrow, I think, is number 3. Actually, I debated whether he might be number 2. He really came on. He got to the Super Bowl. He knows the game now. He's cocky. He's very sure of himself. He's proven what he can do. He was, you know what? I hope they improve their offensive line a little bit because they pounded him, and he's tough. And I think that he's going to have a fantastic year. They have great running receivers, right?
Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
They have Tyler Boyd. They lost Uzomah.
Yeah, who's the rookie this year that they had last year?
Jamar
rookie.
Chase?
Yeah, that guy's good, right?
Yeah.
So I think Joe Burrow could be. I'm definitely 3. Might even be 2.
Okay.
But, that's what I'm thinking.
A lot of confidence in him.
Yeah,
I like that. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, a lot of places rank him up number 2. Or
ESPN had him number 1.
They had him number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah. Well, guess what? He's got nobody to throw to this year.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
So I don't think he's going to have a great year.
I'm predicting. I'm gonna do my standings, my preseason.
I think he's a great quarterback, but I don't think he's going to have a great year because I don't think they have the talent around him to make him great.
Absolutely not. I think this is gonna be the first time since like in 10 years. I'm pretty sure that's the number where Aaron Rodgers is gonna have double digit interceptions, and I think the Vikings are actually gonna win that division. I have a funny feeling. NFC North, I think it's gonna go to the Vikings this year because I think. You don't have that many good receivers to throw to. Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust any of his receivers, really. The only one he really trusted was Devontae Adams, who didn't even want to be there in this offseason. So, Aaron Rodgers, I was debating actually putting Aaron Rodgers maybe at 5 in my list. We'll get to my list. Where did
he wind up in your list?
He was the same position here, 4.
4, yeah.
We'll compare lists when you're done with this. But yeah, number 4, Aaron Rodgers for you. Number 5, was it Justin Herbert?
Another sort of like Joe Burrow. I think that he got into the play. He made it to the playoffs this year.
Well, no. He was going to, but he lost to the Raiders.
No, but that was a playoff game.
No, it wasn't. That was week 17. That was week 17.
Oh, that's right. I guess you're right there.
Yeah.
That was a playing game, basically.
Right? Yeah, right. Because either team, if they
it's
won,
like a playoff game.
No, it is because if they tied,
I mean, if they tied, then they both would have gone.
Yeah. Except
right.
the Steelers replaced the Chargers.
Okay, I got that wrong, but I still think that was his kind of coming out in terms of pressure game.
No,
he performed
definitely.
fantastic in a very high pressure game.
1,000%.
And they were behind, right? He brought them back and tied the game, went into overtime.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's got what it takes, and he's got some great receivers there too.
So Justin Herbert,
number 5. Who are his receivers again? They have some very good receivers.
Mike Williams. Yeah. You have Keenan Allen.
Very good.
You have Austin Eckler in the backfield. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
You have an upgraded offensive line, and your defense just got spectacular.
Yeah.
You have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa.
I think they're definitely going to make the playoffs.
Also, J.C. Jackson. And then I think you have Derwin James still.
J.C. Jackson's on that team now. Yeah.
17 interceptions in 2 years.
Yeah. Khalil Mack.
I'm gonna keep shoving that down.
Joey Bosa.
He's insane.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 5, Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Number 6, Josh Allen. People think this. I guarantee you, people think this is low for Josh Allen.
Yeah. A lot of people think so. I might be a little biased.
Is this Patriot?
I might be a little biased because I hate Buffalo. I mean, they beat out the Patriots. They killed them in the playoffs. I feel bad about that. I think that Josh Allen in the playoffs played a little over his head. I think a little bit over his head. He wasn't. He wasn't that great till he started running. When he started running, that people weren't expecting that, and or as much. That they expected he might run a few plays, but not what he did. He ran a lot more, and that helped his game a lot. I think he's a very good quarterback, but I don't know. I just don't see him having that great a year this next year.
Think who do you think is going to win the division, the AFC East? Do you think the Bills are going to win? Because I know damn sure the Patriots ain't winning it.
Probably the Bills will win it, unfortunately. The Patriots will be second.
I agree. I agree with that. I'm regardless. Tua, I don't care. Tua, Tyreek Hill, any of that, I don't care. Dolphins are last for me. Jets are third, which actually is funny. I bring up the Jets because I've seen this top 10 before. Number 7, Patrick Mahomes.
7, yeah. He's really good too, but I just think the people above him are going the 6 above him are going to outperform his performance. And I think the Chiefs, they lost Tyreek Hill. I don't think they got much talent. They've kind of, they spent a lot of money on him, right? So yeah. I don't know. I don't think they definitely didn't fix their offensive line last year, right? That was a weakness for them the year before.
They picked up Orlando Brown, who news today actually broke that they could not actually come to terms on a long-term deal. So their O-line may be shaky even now. They did replace 4 of the 5 starters that started in the Super Bowl last year, and their O-line was still a bit iffy. Yeah. And now you don't have full security on the best tackle that you have. The Chiefs' O-line may be in shambles this year as well.
Yeah. And their defense, not so great.
They lost Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. They're going to have a hard time getting into the playoffs this year, I think. And Mahomes, when they're struggling, he struggles.
Big time.
Yeah, big time. He didn't have a great year last year, right?
Based on his standards, no. If you look at it just based on the stats, which I fall victim of a lot, looking directly at stats and saying that's the entire story. He threw for 4,800 yards, 37 touchdowns, which that in of itself, phenomenal.
Yeah. How many interceptions?
He had 13 interceptions, though.
That's quite a bit.
And his interception percentage.
How many yards rushing did he have?
Yards rushing, he had... Rushing, receiving, he had 381 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns.
So, that's a great year for a quarterback for the most part.
But at
maybe
Mahomes
a little
standards,
high on the interceptions, but on Mahomes, the bar that he's held to, then they would say that's not his best year.
No, I said he regressed this year because
But not totally his fault. I think the talent, he had good talent at the wide receivers and the running backs, but the O-line.
You still have Travis Kelce. You lost Tyreek Hill, who was your number 1.
Yeah, but you have there's some other guys there that are pretty good.
No, yeah, absolutely. You have McCole Hardman, who's still there.
Yeah.
He would need to step up. I'm pretty sure you drafted a receiver, so I think if I really had to say it, and people are gonna say this is Mahomes hate, this is gonna say whatever. I think based on the AFC, how it's standing right now, I think there's a good shot that Mahomes doesn't even make the playoffs, just based on how the AFC is.
Could be.
And I just think, you know what? I honestly think, right? Derek Carr, I put him in my top 10. And we all, if you watch back the last Harvey hour, I read the stats to you, how he had I have it here in front of me, actually. I could read it to you again, so you don't even need to do that. Carr leads every QB in the past 7 years with game-winning drives. So he could be clutch. He had the highest completion percentage of any quarterback in the past 4 years. So he throws the ball accurately. He's the only QB last year in the top 5 in completions and passing yards. So he's accurate and he throws the ball.
He makes mental mistakes.
When there's a lot of pressure on him, a lot.
Well, that's important, huh?
But he was throwing to Hunter Renfrow. I'm pretty sure Darren Waller got hurt, so he didn't have his he didn't have his number 1 tight end fully healthy. Now you put Devontae Adams in there. I really think there's a shot that they could be good. We'll see how Josh McDaniels does as a head coach. He failed, but I think that was in part because you had Tim Tebow as a quarterback. And he didn't even make it on the Jaguars team in preseason. He played 1 game, and then they got rid of him. So he couldn't even make the Jaguars, let alone be a great quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I think that could be in part that the Broncos were just not ready to play. And then also in part Josh McDaniels okay to poor coaching. But I think, you know what? With the team around them, they have a very good defense. They added many pieces on that defense. Including Chandler Jones. You got Devontae Adams on the offense. You still have Josh Jacobs as a running back. Derek Carr seems to be really good. So I think there's a chance that the Chiefs may be last in the division.
Yeah, maybe.
If I had to have a take, if people are gonna call us a hot take,
they can't be happy that Russell Wilson's in the division now.
I wouldn't be.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be at all.
You probably got the division with the best quarterbacks in it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, AFC West is now the hardest division in football. Yeah. I'll take that to my grave saying that because What other division? It used to be the NFC West because you had the 49ers at the top tier of defense, and their offense was pretty good. You had Arizona, who they're a pretty good team. DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, that defense was pretty good. And then you had Seattle with Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and they used to be the Legion of Boom. And then they kind of just fell off a cliff at the end of that. And then you had the Los Angeles Rams, who we all know what they're about. They just won the Super Bowl. So that used to be the hardest division in football, and now I'm saying it's the AFC West, hands down, no question, no arguments. So Matt, the number 8 for you, Matt Stafford.
Yeah, well, he's good. I just thought there was 7 others better than him before, and I think he'll have another good year. I mean, he had a great year last year, right? Although he threw too many interceptions.
He made some
mental mistakes, but I think he got over the hump. He won the Super Bowl, right? And he'd never really been in the playoffs much with the Lions, right? Maybe one playoff game, something like that. And he got hurt a lot with the Lions. They pounded him badly. Now he's with the elite team, and he had maybe not the greatest year last year, but a very, very good year. And now I think there's a good chance they could get back to the Super Bowl. I think a very good chance they could get back to the Super Bowl. And he performed well in the Super Bowl. Right? They got behind, and he brought them back, and they won. So I thought an outstanding year for him, and I think he's an outstanding quarterback, but not in the top 7.
That's fair. Mac Jones at number 9.
There you go. Number 9, Mac Jones.
Explain this one to me.
Well, I think that as I said, I'm basing this on the performance this coming up this year. At the end of the year, you look back and see who had a great year. I think Mac Jones is going to have a great year. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think that the offensive play calling will be better than last year. I think they're going to go more with the passing, and I think they're going to go to the Brady style dink and dunk, which worked great against Tampa Bay. He looked like Tom Brady out there in that game.
He did.
They should go back to that. I don't know why they went away from it. I couldn't understand the play calling last year. So much running. I think it's because they thought, Mac Jones, you're a rookie. We don't want you to be embarrassed by a lot of mistakes.
Right.
He didn't make that many mistakes. I mean, he had a few games. He kind of hit the wall a little bit.
No, he did.
He hit the wall a little bit 3/4 of the way through the season. But in the end, he finished pretty strong, right? And in the playoff game, well, that was too bad. The defense couldn't stop Buffalo at all. So I think, the receiving core for the Patriots, it's okay, not great, but James White's going to be back.
Yep.
He's going to dink and dunk. They're going to dink and dunk, Nate, and they're going to the playoffs with the dink and dunk. They're going there. They're going there. And Mac Jones is going to have, maybe less than 7 interceptions.
Oh, my God.
And probably going to have 30 touchdowns.
At
least 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, no more than 7. And it could have well over 4,000 yards passing. Yeah.
I think you could only get over 4,000.
And his completion rate will be in the high 60s.
I think you could break 70.
Yeah, you think so, yeah?
Mac Jones' game has always been high completion percentage.
Yeah. Well, isn't that worth a ranking, a 70% completion rate? How many quarterbacks have that? Not that many.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Okay.
And number 10, when I saw this number 10 pick, my eyes almost blew out of my skull. Please explain. I know.
Where would you rank Mac Jones?
Where would I? He's not in my top 10.
Not in top 10, but where is he, like the top 20, let's say?
15, 16?
15 or 16?
Yeah.
Oh. Who would you put ahead of him? After 10, who's your 11? Lamar Jackson.
Lamar's definitely in the top 15 for me. Top 14. I put Matt Ryan, Jimmy G. Ooh.
Oh, Jimmy G.
Ooh. Would he be my top 15?
You hate Jimmy G.
I don't hate Jimmy G. It's just I don't think, No, Mac Jones would be 15 for me. The rest of I would need to think about the rest of that. But Lamar would probably be number 11. Dak Prescott I'd definitely put up there.
Yeah.
And then I would just put in Deshaun Watson because last time we saw him, he was a top 3 quarterback.
Yeah, well, he hasn't even played. I don't see how he can be ranked in any ranking till he gets out there and plays.
That's fair.
Okay.
Your final one, once again, my eyes blew out of my skull. Hey, please explain. I'm lost. I have Jet fans that are friends friends that are Jets fans, and the fact that you put Zach Wilson at number 10.
Zach Wilson.
Please explain this to me. Please.
Well, he started out terrible last year, right? It was a rookie year, though. And he's playing for the Jets. Playing for the Jets is a liability. Right? That's a liability.
I will give you that.
Yeah, and the head coach is his first year last year with them.
Yep, Robert Saleh. Yep,
yeah,
first year.
He didn't do very well, but they improved a lot. And after the halfway through the year, the last half of the year, what his stats look like in the last half of the year. He was playing right up there. He was doing very well.
They went toe-to-toe with the Bills late in the season, but the Bills are the Bills, so they obviously
every game in the last 5 or 6, they were in every game.
Yeah, they lost.
And he
by
played
one
well.
score.
He didn't throw any interceptions, and he was completing his passes, and he didn't have the greatest receiver core there either.
Absolutely
right?
not.
Terrible.
No.
So who is the receivers this year? They went out and got some.
They got oh my God, what? They drafted one, Garrett Wilson, I think that's what his name is. They drafted him. Their defense improved big time. You have I'm forgetting that there's a defensive end.
I think they give the Patriots a run for their money this year in the game they play at home.
That's what people are saying. Some people on social media are saying
I don't think they'll beat them.
Sweep them.
I don't think. Nah, they ain't gonna sweep them. That's never gonna happen. But they give them a run for their money at home when they play at home.
Okay.
So I definitely agree that's a dark horse. That's a little bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm overreaching on that one. Obviously, you think so.
Yeah. And,
you have some very good quarterbacks that Lamar Jackson, I debated have him up there at number 10. I think he's better than Derek Carr. I just think those guys, I don't trust the Raiders. They're not consistently good. They haven't been. And now they have a new head coach, McDaniel, who I thought did a poor job as an offensive coordinator last year. And I didn't think in Brady's last year, I don't think he did a very good job either. So, and I don't think Brady thought he did either. So, it might have had something to do with him leaving. So, we'll see. But, and I think maybe, it's possible the Jets could crash and burn because they're capable of doing that.
They're the Jets.
They're the Jets. So, that's tough for him, but I think he's going to shine.
Okay.
Except when he's playing against Patriots.
Yeah, I know you hope that. We're going to go on our first break. We'll be back in just 30 seconds.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. And I want to talk about this because this got brought up in the news and especially on social media recently. Bernard Pollard, who was a defensive back of the Ravens, who actually wrecked Tom Brady's knee, which you just told me during the break, back in 2008.
When he was playing for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Him and Lamar Jackson recently got into a Twitter dispute because Ryan Clark was talking about Lamar Jackson getting paid and about him not being a top 10 quarterback. And this is what Bernard Pollard had to say on Twitter. It's a lot that can be said. He's def a top 10 talent, but as for a top 10 QB, I don't see it. I believe he should get paid by the Ravens and should get top dollar. And without seeing this tweet, because this happened 3 days ago, this is when it broke in the news, and we were talking about it even till this day. I had a little dispute with my friends because they watched or they saw my top 10 post on the Harvey Hour. I'm now uploading clips about for each Harvey Hour episode that we do. And so me and my friends got into a discussion about Derek Carr versus Lamar Jackson, or potentially would Lamar Jackson even be higher than the 10th spot, which is what I had Derek Carr at. And basically, we got into this huge dispute. So I'll get to the dispute between my friends later. But I want to know: do you think do you think Bernard Pollard is right that he's a top 10 talent, but not a top 10 QB? And once again, his value. He hasn't signed an extension.
How does that
yet.
make sense?
So,
You're a top 10 talent. Your position is quarterback, but you're not a top 10 quarterback? How does that work? I mean, is he saying he's a great athletic person,
Yes.
but he's not a great
yes,
quarterback?
exactly that. Yes.
That's what he's saying?
The way he plays football, his style of football, the way he portrays himself on the football field,
Yeah.
he's top 10 in the league. But as strictly as a quarterback,
He's not
a top 10.
Where does he place him? He said he should get
He
top
doesn't say.
dollar.
Top dollar. Yeah,
He
no.
should get top dollar. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't really make that much sense then. His position is quarterback.
Yes.
And he's going to get top, and he should get top dollar,
Right,
but
he
he's
should get
not
paid.
a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
I think the guy, I don't know. His logic doesn't ring true with me.
Well, let me leave it to you like this, right? Then, since you don't have a full answer on it, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense to you. Oh, does he explain it here? Oh, yeah, here we go. After the tweet, he sent out another one where he mentioned that no wide receiver would ever want to play with Lamar Jackson because, quote, he's not able to make the throws.
He's made some good throws.
Some, yes. But if in that case, Mike White, who was the backup for the Jets, I think he threw for almost 500 yards in a
I
game.
wouldn't compare him to Lamar
I'm
Jackson.
not, but I'm saying we can't compare it off of one game. Okay,
Not one game. I think Lamar Jackson's had a lot of games where he's had a lot of good passes.
in the playoffs, he is shrunk over and over and
you know
over
what?
again.
I think that the rest of the team didn't play so great in the playoffs either. He was under lots of pressure, and I think that I you know what? I probably should Lamar as my number 10 now that we're talking about him. I mean,
in retrospect.
I put Zach Wilson there just to upset you more than anything.
So you would put Lamar Jackson at 10.
I think so, yeah.
Would you put him
definitely.
higher though? You think he's going to be worse than Mac
You know
Jones?
what? He's probably better than Mac Jones too. Down deep inside me, for next year, maybe he's better than Mac Jones. I don't know, but he's a great. I like Lamar Jackson a lot. I think I like his style. He's tough. He's fearless. He's, in the first round, the first time he got in the playoffs, I think he was in over his head a little bit.
That was his MVP
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Or no,
Yeah.
not the first time, but
Yeah, but I think
it was
he's had a hard time in the playoffs, which is unfortunate. He has won one
hard
playoff
time
game.
is an understatement.
He has won one playoff game.
A hard time, it's an
He has
understatement.
won one
to say.
playoff game.
No,
and-
he has. He has.
Yeah, he's won a playoff game, and this
Beat
year
the
he's coming
Titans.
back. He's coming back healthy, right? As
Right.
I wouldn't say that the Ravens have had the greatest receiving core under him, right? They have that little
Okay.
little brown guy. He's
Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown. Is he that great? I mean, he's not very big, right? He's so.
That's true.
Who else did they have? They had a good tight end.
Mark Andrews. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, they had nobody. He never one to throw to.
They had Sammy Watkins.
He's pretty good.
His MVP season. Let's check his receiving
Who
core
did he
his
have
MVP
for
season.
receivers? But his MVP season, he didn't really have that many passing yards, did he?
He had
What's his career look like right now? Passing yards year by year.
year by year.
Yeah.
His should I do a full season because he played 7 games in 2018? Do you want to start there when he replaced was it Joe Flacco at the time?
Yeah. What? How many yards did he have?
So he went 6-1 in 2018 with 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns with 3 interceptions.
Well, you know what? They didn't let him throw the ball. They were running the ball the whole time then. They
In
didn't let him throw it.
2018,
so
his
wouldn't count
rushing, he ran almost 700 yards with 5 touchdowns. So close.
that. How many passing yards?
In his first year, 1,200.
No, second.
His MVP year, 3,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Led the league in
That's
touchdowns.
pretty good.
Rushing
Right?
yards, he had over 1,000 rushing yards. if I'm not
Wow,
mistaken.
that's an MVP year.
1,200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So if in totality,
So don't you think
he
he's
had
a pretty good
4,300
quarterback?
yards.
Where would he rank that year under my methodology? The year, just looking at the year, wouldn't he be the
Well,
top?
he
wouldn't
was
he
the
be up in
unanimous
the?
MVP.
He'd be number 2, 1 or 2.
Well, he was unanimous MVP, so
Yeah,
he'd be in at
so-
number 1.
Yeah.
But here we go. In 2020, he had 2,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions with 1,000 yards rushing, right? And then this past year, he played 12 games. Technically 11, because the 12th game he started through, I think, 4 passes, then got hurt. In the 7 games, 2,800 yards, 16 touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
Not good.
13 interceptions.
Everyone has, sometimes a player has a bad year.
But the huge problem I have with it, right? If you're talking about greatness, right?
But how good were the Ravens, though, overall as a team last year?
The Ravens
I don't
last
think they
year
were that good.
they went 8-9. But that's because
8-9.
they
But
finished
they
the
have
last
their
six
offense,
games.
though. How was their offensive line? How many times did Lamar get sacked?
Lamar got sacked in 12 games. He got sacked 38 times.
That's a lot,
Yeah, that's
right?
That's true.
So the
That's
offensive line was not good.
in total yards though. The offense ranked 6th.
That's pretty good.
6th. 5th in first downs and 20th in passing touchdowns,
Yeah.
which that's obvious.
I'm a defender of Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to have a really good year this year. In fact, he should have been I put him in my top 10. I'm not saying I got to leave Mac Jones in the top 10 somewhere because I'm
Right.
biased.
Okay,
Okay.
at least you.
And I
at
put
least you admit it.
I put Zach Wilson in there to upset you. So yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Here's my problem, right? I agree with Bernard Pollard a lot because I have the exact same argument. When I measure greatness, right? You could be the greatest, like for instance, if I'm ranking greatness, that's why I think there might be 5 quarterbacks that are greater than Aaron Rodgers. It's because he's not great. He sucks when he's down. He's bad in the playoffs, and he doesn't trust anyone. He's 7-9 in the playoffs since his Super Bowl year and has not made the Super Bowl in 11 years. He embarrassed himself in his own turf against Jimmy G, who can't throw the football down the field. Injured shoulder. Needed surgery. They relied on Deebo Samuel. So when I measure greatness, I think, yeah, you could be great in the regular season, but when it matters, right? Game 7, cards on the table. Can you perform at that peak level? The answer for Lamar Jackson's no. He can't. If I had to predict right now, Lamar Jackson will never win a Super Bowl. Never. And it's kind of funny that I'm going to say this. Michael Vick, which is obviously the closest thing to Lamar Jackson. I loved watching Michael Vick play.
He made it to the Super Bowl.
Him bombing throws down to Deshaun Jackson, 60-yard passes to Deshaun Jackson. I love watching those replays. Deshaun Jackson going deep and Michael Vick just slinging it to him. But the thing about that was Michael Vick transitioned his game. He was really athletic early on, especially with the Falcons. Very athletic early on. Same thing with Cam Newton, except Cam Newton kind of fell off a cliff because his passing game was nowhere to be found. We saw that during the Patriots. He could not throw the football forever, and that could have been because of COVID, but that's another story. Michael Vick transitioned his game into the passing game. Lamar Jackson can't do that. In the playoffs right now, he averages a completion percentage of 55.9%. 55.9% completion percentage in the playoffs.
That's in the playoffs. Well, what's he do in the regular season?
In the regular season, he averages 64.1.
That's pretty good.
He yards per game, right? Yards. This is a QB we're talking about, right? Athleticism, definitely top 5, probably top 3 for just overall talent. Top 3. That's me saying this. Passing yards per game in his career. In the history of the NFL, guess where he's rated? If you had to guess, just off the top of your head, I'm gonna give you the
Passing
number.
yards per game.
He has 171.8 per game. Where do you think that ranks in the totality of the NFL?
In history?
In history.
Probably ranks him number 40.
40? 110th.
110th.
110th in the NFL. And
You know what? He's still young. He still has a bunch of years to play.
right, and that's why people are saying, well, he needs to get paid, right? And I think, yes, with the way Lamar Jackson
He's exciting
plays,
to watch.
Yes, he is.
Okay, so the entertainment value is very high. He's gotten him to the playoffs. He's been in the play. At least he got there. Look at how many quarterbacks don't even get there, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
So he has just a couple of stinkers in the playoffs, right? But
Several.
he has won one game.
Several.
He has won one game, and we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah.
I think he's a top 10 quarterback.
He lost to a Tennessee Titans team. He lost to he beat a Tennessee Titans team and then scored 3 points against the Bills the following round.
Well, the Bills, they went to the championship game that year, right?
In 2021. So what did they
got
do?
beat by the Chiefs,
yeah,
right?
the Chiefs.
So
And they got shellacked by the Chiefs, actually. In that game, Lamar Jackson, 162 yards, 1 interception. He threw the ball 24 times, rushing, right? Because he's a rushing back, or he's a rushing QB.
he wouldn't get much against Buffalo. They're
34
great.
yards rushing on 9 attempts.
Well, that's because Buffalo was expecting it. The Ravens didn't have much else besides Lamar, so they could tee off on him.
Right, no.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
The problem I have, right, is they're saying, well, he doesn't have a lot of receiving talent, so who the hell is he going to throw it to? When the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson, right, they were going to move off of Joe Flacco, who was he was a huge passing offense.
You know what? In that Bills game, I would say one of the main reasons that Lamar didn't have a great game is because the running game didn't work for him. Right? I'm sure they tried the running game with the other backs, right? The play action and to set up the play action. And they didn't. The other running backs couldn't get anything. I bet they got nothing. I bet he was their leading rusher in that game.
He was
with 34 yards.
He was not.
Who was the leading rusher?
There were 2 other rushers that had the same amount of yards. J.K.
Oh.
Dobbins and Gus Edwards. They combined for 84 yards.
Yeah, well,
rushing.
that's terrible. I mean, during the season, they were much better than that, right?
They were a better rushing team than the Bills. No, the Bills.
Bills had a better defense.
Zero rushing game. The backup quarterback for the Ravens had more rushing yards than the number 1 running back on the Bills. Tyler Huntley had 32 yards. The number 1
What was the final score of that game?
17-3.
Yeah, so Josh Allen threw the ball.
Josh Allen threw almost the amount of they had 208 yards, but he threw the ball 13 more times.
Yeah.
I think this is a very defensive game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, a lot of tackles on the, especially like down low. How many sacks? Buffalo totally had 4 sacks compared to the Ravens 2. So Buffalo was just getting there, and it could be because of the O-line. But the problem I have with people saying he doesn't have a lot of receiving talent. When the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson, they were ready to move off of Joe Flacco, who's a passing primary quarterback, and they took his talent. They said, okay. He's a run in his head. He's run first all the time. Take the ball and run. And so what do? They built up a run first offense. So the scheme, not the talent, the scheme is set up for Lamar to be successful. It's set up for him to be successful in running the ball first. Whether that's crazy, weird trick plays to running backs that, especially in 2019, they were doing all the time. That's why he won MVP. It's just that offense was so unpredictable. And you saw that especially when they played the Patriots could not stop them at all. It was that Week 9 game. It was that weird Cinderella moment for the first 8 games of the Patriots season. We're like, this team's really good. But in reality, they were playing horrible teams. And then the first great team they played, the Patriots didn't know what the hell was going on. Brady looked poor. And theRavens just dismantled
the defense
them.
fell apart against the Ravens in that game because Lamar Jackson picked them apart.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was because of his arm, though. He did nothing with his arm.
Didn't have to.
No, exactly. No, but like that's what I'm saying. Like the team doesn't need to be great on the receivers. It's primarily based on running.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt to have some great receivers.
Of course it doesn't hurt. Of course it doesn't hurt. That's why he has Mark Andrews. That's why his primary receiver has been Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
So obviously, when Bernard Pollard says that no receiver wants to play with him, I think it's not only because he's not able to make the throws like he says.
Because they're not going to throw it to him.
Because he's not going to throw it to him.
Yeah.
That's why I think Marquise Brown's like, okay, I'm going to take my talents over to Arizona, and I'm going to show you how good of a receiver I could be.
How many quarterbacks in history have had 38 touchdowns and 1,200 yards rushing?
No, he's the first one. He's the first one.
He could do it again.
And the huge problem with that, I think that's where the Ravens are being a little bit,
You know what? I don't think I take that back. He's
What's
not
that?
going to do it again because they're not going to let him run the ball that much because he gets too beat up.
and that's
they
a great
want
point.
They want him to pass the ball more.
That's
and
why the Ravens are a little bit
I think
cautious.
he's capable of it. You watch. He's capable of it. He's got a strong arm. He can whip the ball down the field. He just kind of throws it like a dart.
Not a chance.
He's
in
got
my
a
mind.
he's got a very strong arm.
He needs to get better. It needs to get significantly better.
Well, maybe he's been working on it in the offseason.
He should be working on it
I
because
still think he's a top 10. I think he's better than Derek Carr.
well, you bring up Derek Carr, and so
I swap him with Zach Wilson. He's better than Zach Wilson.
So the argument is that I put Derek Carr number 10. You're saying now he's better than Derek Carr. So I said, well, my list was based on last year, and then my friends are like, oh, he got hurt last
How many
year.
playoff games has Derek Carr won?
Derek Carr, I don't think he's won a single. But think about
Yeah,
the
one.
No, I don't think he's won a single playoff game. He might have, and I'll
I
look it up
thought
right
he.
now.
Oh, did they lose they lost the first playoff game? I kept thinking
In
the Chargers
2014.
game was a playoff game. It wasn't.
No, it was not.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
he's
let's
ever won.
see.
And he's made some boneheaded decisions, Nate. You can look back over time. He's made some bad decisions
He's made it
that
to the
cost him
playoffs.
games.
He's made it to the playoffs twice. Lost both. But if you're okay,
So Lamar has won. He's won one.
yes, he has won one.
So he's ahead of Derek Carr there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Raiders have been a dysfunctional franchise from millennia.
Yeah.
And especially if you have John Gruden as your head coach, who's a bonehead,
Well, he's gone now.
who then had that huge scandal.
Actually, he brought him back better than they were before him. Before him, they did nothing. Gruden, at least, he got him back to 500 ball, I think. One season.
Well, his first season he went 4-12.
Okay, he went the second season.
His second season, they was it 2019. He went 7-9. Then he went 8-8 in 2020.
Okay, 8-8.
And then really, was it Rich Bias? I can't pronounce his name. Let's call him Coach Rich. The Raiders, the interim head coach. He was the one that brought him actually really together. And then I think Max Crosby said that. It was because of him that they were able to come back from John Gruden's, mental lapse and just horribleness. The Raiders everyone knows, the Raiders are a dysfunctional, crazy franchise. So it's hard to be at your peak when your franchise is falling around you. That's the problem with Baker Mayfield. The Browns are a losing culture. They have a very poor franchise. They're a dumb franchise. They're not a winning culture. You can't perform at your peak. Also, Baker Mayfield was a little bit childish because the number one pick. He's got that ego to him. But it's just your franchise can't function. You can't function at your peak if your franchise is falling around you. You bring up Carr, though, in your top 10. And so, I like I said, he's like, oh, Derek Carr did better last year. And he's like, no, Lamar did, but he got hurt, so it doesn't really count. So I just compared the first 11 games that they played. Once again, the 12th game, Lamar did start in and got the loss for it, but he only threw like 4 passes and got hurt. So the first 11 games, Lamar Jackson has 16 touchdowns in 11 games. Derek Carr has 17 touchdowns in 11 games. This is where it comes. This is where you have to differentiate between talent and quarterback. I'm arguing quarterback. Talent, I told you, I put him in my top 3 if we're talking about strictly NFL talent.
Those differences is only one touchdown.
One
difference.
touchdown. Here's where the quarterback part
Okay,
is
what
the
is
big
it?
discrepancy.
The interceptions.
No, Lamar Jackson in 11 games had 2,800 yards, 2,865. Derek Carr had 3,413. Derek Carr had 6 games of 300 or more yards.
Okay. Well, how many rushing yards did Derek Carr have?
That's what I'm saying, though.
Huh?
A quarterback is not supposed to be running the football a lot.
Well, they have different strategies
It has
now.
athleticism,
Yeah.
but that
Russell Wilson got to the Super Bowl running the quarterback a lot. Michael Vick got to the Super Bowl running the quarterback a lot, running the ball a lot, right?
Russell Wilson, when they made it to the Super Bowl in 2013 and
He
14.
made it 2 years. He got there
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
Yes.
Won one of them.
Yes. But
He ran a lot those years.
No, I'm not saying he didn't run. He did run a lot. In those years, he ran. Yeah, but the thing is, he wasn't primarily rushing the football. Lamar,
No, it's because he's running for his life. 'Cause
exactly.
the offensive line.
His offensive line was bad.
Yeah, but he still ran a lot.
No, he did, but he didn't run as much as Lamar, and didn't run as effectively as Lamar. But he could throw the ball.
It wasn't
though.
their scheme. It wasn't their scheme to him to run. It was he had to run because the offensive line was bad.
Lamar's game is based on running.
Yeah.
No, and here's the crazy thing, right? No.
Hey, they get to the playoffs doing it, right?
And they
just
lose.
haven't. Yeah, but you know what? They got there. How many teams don't get there, Nate? A lot of teams don't get there. A lot of teams stink. They
do.
get to the playoffs, and he had some great seasons. So I think he's a top 10 quarterback, and he won a playoff game, and Derek Carr has not won a playoff game.
Because he's okay. Yes, Derek Carr's not won a playoff game.
Yeah.
But so the thing with Russell Wilson, the Seahawks made it to the playoffs and dominated in the playoffs mainly because of their defense. That's why it was called the Legion of Boom. The Ravens don't have a Legion of Boom.
Okay, what were Russell Wilson's stats in the year they won the Super Bowl?
In 2013, was that when they won?
Was it 13?
2013 they won. 2014 was the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl.
That long ago.
2013 threw for 3,300 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions with 580 yards rushing.
Yeah.
540 yards rushing. The following year, he had 849 yards rushing with 3,475 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Lamar, on the other hand, let's say his...
Now, what did Russell Wilson have last year? What was his passing stats last year?
Last year, he played 14 games, 3,100 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions with, adjusted passing, with 183 yards rushing.
Okay, so he was running a lot behind the line of scrimmage, trying to get away from the scrambling. But he's a scrambler.
The Seahawks are not a run-first offense.
No, I agree.
That's why let Russ cook has been a thing for years. It's because he is the one that really decides it, and usually it's passing down the field when you have a DK Metcalf, even if you just have a Tyler Lockett.
But look, there are many teams now that are trying the Lamar Jackson Ravens approach, right? You have the Bears with Justin Fields, right? He's more
they're gonna need to. Look at
he's more of a Lamar Jackson type player, right?
Justin Fields is going to have a horrible year. Horrible year.
I agree. He's not very good, but that's what they were trying to do. And there are more teams and Baker Mayfield is sort of like that too, right?
Right.
And so he had some success there. He got to the playoffs too.
He did.
So
and he won a playoff
that is
game.
a formula. That is a formula that can work. You know, it just hasn't won a Super Bowl yet.
You're right. It hasn't.
It hasn't.
The
won a Super Bowl
the closest thing it was Cam Newton. He went 15-1.
He's another example of
But-
it. He's a little different though. He's like a tank.
But his mobility is what flashed because it you don't see the play style that Lamar, Cam Newton, Michael Vick. It's rare in the NFL because that's not what a QB is. A QB is someone who might be in the case of Tom Brady, you can't move, but a quarterback usually pocket feet, a little bit of mobility, but he can throw the ball expertly well. That's why you're not a running back. Not a receiver, not an offensive lineman, not a cornerback, not a linebacker, not a defensive lineman. You're a quarterback. You throw the ball very well. And there's no other mobile quarterback. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers has a little bit of mobility to him. Trey Lance.
Josh Allen is pretty mobile.
Right. You have no other mobile
Dak
quarterback.
Prescott.
No. And here's what I'm going to say, though. No other quarterback that's a mobile quarterback has ever been listed or has been joked around, memed about as being a running back. Lamar's the joke on Lamar is that he's Lamarb, Lamarb, as in running back. No other mobile quarterback has that running back / quarterback aspect to him because he could throw the ball very well. Lamar's the only one because the Ravens are built run first, and that's actually against Lamar. And if you're a run first team, and Lamar's already shown signs of injury, he got hurt last year. He doesn't play well in the playoffs. That's noted. That's a stat. That's a fact.
He won a playoff game.
One playoff game against a Titans team.
He's 1-2
against Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, who's the 1 seed and got shellacked.
Titans are not that bad. They've been in the playoffs regularly, right?
But we're talking about Ryan Tannehill.
I know, but
who's in a hot seat.
You know what? It's not all the quarterback. I mean, the Titans have a pretty good defense. They had a good defense. They were 32nd. They had a great running back. They have one of the best, Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in history, right? So
that's true.
So it wasn't just Ryan Tannehill they went up against. They went up against a pretty good team.
Well, they had Derrick Henry first game back from injury in this past postseason.
I like Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry.
I have, when you talk about list of best quarterbacks, that's when I have a problem with Lamar Jackson.
Well, you put him at number 11. That's not far out of the number.
Because yes, well, it's out of the top 10 though.
Yeah, but just one spot.
Yeah, one spot, but that's pretty big because he's not in the third of the league. That's the best. He's outside of third of the league. He's in that second. He's at two-thirds. He's better than 2/3 of the league.
He's very close. He's right there, I'd say, and I put him at number 10. I guess I'd swap Zach Wilson out for him.
If we're talking about purely quarterback, not talent, talent's obviously an aspect of quarterbacking. But if we're talking about strictly top 10 quarterback, he's not in my top 10. Top 10 talent, I already put him top 3. Top 3 talent, not top 10 quarterback. And that might be confusing.
You agree with Bernard Pollard.
I do, because that's true. No receiver wants to play with him.
You think he should get top money too, though?
I do, because...
with top money to play quarterback.
Because what else are you going to play? He's not big enough to be a running back. He can't... We don't know if he can catch the ball. Not a receiver.
That's not the criteria. They're going to pay him top money to play quarterback.
Well,
so they think he's a great quarterback.
They haven't
The
paid him
Ravens
yet.
think that he's a great quarterback.
The Ravens haven't paid him yet.
They're going to. You wait
and
see.
I think the reason they're not paying him quite yet is because he's not great in the playoffs. He's injury prone, and that type of talent, yes, it's rare, but it fizzles out very
he's
quick.
injury prone because he's a running back.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that type
He's
of
a running
talent
back
is rare.
and a quarterback. He's 2 players. They should give him double the money.
And no,
He's both. He's a quarterback and a running back.
That's why they're saying to pay him top dollar. But his type of talent doesn't last long in the NFL. That's why running backs last 8-9 years.
They should transition him away from running so
That's
much.
what I'm saying. Yes,
He should only run when he's wide open, and then he should slide.
That's what I'm saying.
Or
yes.
run out of bounds, one or the other. Teach him to do
Absolutely.
that and set him back there with his arm, which is a very strong arm, and get him some good wide receivers, and I bet you'll see him with some very good passing stats.
They got Rashad Bateman. I think that's what his name is.
Oh, yeah. I don't know who
He was a rookie last year. But, yes, that's where I agree with you. The Ravens need to transition him into more of a passing quarterback so he could last longer in the NFL.
Right, and don't you think he's capable of making that transition?
I think he needs... okay, it's already come out that Lamar was working on the offseason, which clearly means it's not where it should be. And the Ravens are kind of saying, you need to become this, or you're not going to be making $250 million. No, I agree with that. We're going to transition to some of these short topics very, very quickly. Let's start with the first one. Gronk said that even if Brady calls, he was up in New England recently, promoting his Gronk type brand, and he was being interviewed, and he says that even if Brady calls, he's going to stay retired.
Well, you know what?
Do you think he's serious?
Gronk is in the entertainment business right now.
Yeah.
He recognizes that. He needs publicity. He needs to make a statement. He wants to be on TV. He wants to be heard on the radio. He wants to be up in lights. So saying something like that gets him some media coverage. So I can understand why he'd say that. I still think he'll reconsider.
You think that he's bluffing when he says that he's going to pick up, but he won't return?
I think he's not sure. I think he's really not sure.
A lot of people are saying that he just doesn't want to go through training camp. He'll just show up and play.
That's part of it too. And you know what? If the Buccaneers are fantastic, and they won't even call him, right? And then he will be retired. But if they're not that great and they need somebody and they call him, I bet you if it's after week 8, I bet you he'll come back. I bet you, is he working out? Is he keeping himself in shape? I bet he is. Huh? We should check that out. Is Gronk, is he laying on the couch drinking beer, or is he out?
He's out partying, actually. He's DJing. That's what he's doing. I think Gronk will stay retired.
What's Gronk doing tonight? Look it up. He's
Gronk? Gronk.
What's he doing tonight? Yeah,
he's up in New England promoting his Gronk brand. That's what he's doing, having fun in New England.
I see him trying to sell hair replacement on TV.
Yeah. He's losing a little bit.
He's got to be having a hard time getting commercials if you got to do his hair replacement.
Hey, a lot of guys are losing their hair now. 35 years old, 25 years old, losing their hair.
Yeah.
I think he's going to stay retired. I think he's just gotten beat up. He had broken and cracked ribs middle of the season.
He's had a lot of injuries, and I can understand why he doesn't want to go through training camp. Right?
Yeah.
But I think he likes that limelight. And he's got a brand. Gronk,
He does.
Gronk is a brand.
He does.
And to make that brand shine brightest, it's on the football field.
That's true. And listen, I posted a Harvey hot topic when this news first broke, and I actually meant to talk to you about it. I think could I have talked to you about it recently in the last Harvey, and I just forgot? Yeah, I could have. Baker Mayfield, July 6th, he was traded to the Carolina Panthers for a conditional 5th-round pick.
It's a steal.
You think that's a steal?
I do.
Really?
I don't know. How much of the salary did they have to take of the $19 million?
So the breakdown was, and I'll bring this up right now so I do not get this wrong because we're all about being right on this show. So Baker Mayfield was traded to the Panthers for a 2024 conditional 5th-round pick, which I predicted. I said 5th-round pick. You didn't believe that for a damn second.
I didn't. I think that's a steal.
He passed the physical, and the Panthers and Browns will be splitting the finances to make sure this trade goes
That's
through.
a deal for the. I'd say the Panthers made a good deal.
The Browns pay $10.5 million. The Panthers pay
The Browns
$5 million.
have the worst. I'll say this again. They have the worst management of any football team in the NFL, and they
That's
prove
fair.
it year
That's
after year. Even when they change the management, it doesn't get any better. They make
Right.
boneheaded decisions,
Yeah.
and this isn't the latest. The latest of their boneheaded decisions.
Well, the finances are broken down to this: the Browns pay $10.5 million, Panthers pay $5 million, and there was an extra $3.5 million that Baker actually said, you know what, forget about it. We'll just leave it away. Don't even worry about it. It'll be in incentives now. So he did
Good for
that in
him.
order to get traded. That was a condition of him being traded.
Yeah.
Was to let go of that $3.5 million. Say, you know what, I'll win it back in incentives. I think the Saints would have been his best shot, but the Panthers, they were ranked as in the power rankings of, I think it was by ESPN, as the 32nd best team in the league based on power rankings. So he's going from dysfunction into potentially more dysfunction. And
They're number 32.
in the power rankings, they were ranked 32nd.
They should be higher now with him.
I agree. Now,
Who do they have for wide receivers? Anybody?
Robbie Anderson.
Okay, he's not too bad.
I mean, he's okay. Here, I'll bring this up right now. But Matt Rule, the head
They still
coach,
have the running back there, right?
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, maybe
They do?
with Baker Mayfield there, they won't have to give him the ball, give McCaffrey the ball every play. He's the only thing they had on offense. They beat him up badly.
Right.
You know, they got to give. Now they got Baker Mayfield. You know, they can be a little more diversified,
Right.
a little more unpredictable.
No, I agree with that. Let's see. They have DJ Moore, who's a pretty good wide receiver. He was a 1,000-yard receiver last year.
Really?
They got McCaffrey. Other than that, they don't have many other. Out of the
Maybe
top,
they drafted somebody.
the top five leading receivers, 2 of them are running backs. So McCaffrey, who actually got hurt, only played 7 games, was still the 3rd highest receiver on the Panthers
No,
team.
he's their best player.
Easily, yeah, by a long shot.
Yeah.
They have pretty good running backs. They have Chuba Hubbard. He's their the backup.
Cuba Hubbard. I never heard of him.
Chuba Hubbard, yeah.
I never heard of him.
Yeah, he was the one that replaced Christian McCaffrey when he got
Okay.
hurt.
Yeah.
But Matt Rule isn't a fan of Baker Mayfield, was never a fan of Baker Mayfield, so you might have that coaching quarterback rift with Hugh Jackson and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick. Hugh Jackson didn't
How
start
does
him.
this coach of the Panthers know Baker Mayfield?
He just isn't a fan of him. That's what I'm saying.
Who said he wasn't a fan?
That's what a report came out. A report came out that said that Matt Rule.
Well, that was stupid if he said that.
He was not the one to initiate this trade. It was more so the upper office.
Well, then he better smarten up then, because Baker Mayfield's a talent, and he can.
I like Baker.
I think he can. He's got. I like his attitude. I think he should stay away from the commercials on TV.
He is.
I think it's a distraction.
He announced that
That's a
Progressive and him
distraction.
will no longer be
Okay,
doing any
okay,
commercials
good.
together.
I think that's a distraction. I
Yeah.
think he should have stayed away from that. Focus on football. Do the best you can. Get your head in the game. Learn their system cold. And I think, and if he's healthy, then I think he'll have a good year.
And we'll really see it opening Sunday.
Against
Week 1, he
Against
plays
the-
the Cleveland Browns.
he's going to slaughter them.
1 p.m. game in
He's gonna
Carolina.
Be pumped up for that. It's in Carolina too.
In Carolina. He's at home.
I think he'll have a great game.
I also want to talk about this. We're going to move on to a little bit with basketball news. I'm going to start off with this. There are rumors now that the Jazz are hearing calls about one Donovan Mitchell, who they originally said he was untouchable. He won't be traded. But after the Rudy Gobert trade, which that trade, we both talked about this before, that trade was
Unbelievable.
it was crazy, the fact, that value of Rudy Gobert.
Although the draft picks in the NBA,
Yeah.
you can throw
A
those
lot
around,
of
but
of them are
they don't-
misses.
They don't mean much. A lot of them.
So the first one, and when I heard this at first glance, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But if I look a little bit deeper into it, I'm starting to be like, I don't know if that's a great option. The biggest rumor of the team that Donovan Mitchell will probably be traded to is the New York Knicks as the best landing spot for Donovan Mitchell. Do you like the move? If they do trade him, do you like the move? Would this be a good move for the Knicks to make?
Who would the Knicks give up to get him?
It would mean losing. It would be almost be like the Carmelo Anthony trade, basically, essentially blowing up your team for this one player.
Really?
They would need to get rid of probably an RJ Barrett,
That would be tough to
potentially more. The reason at first glance I'm like, oh yeah, do everything. And Knicks fans, I have friends that are Knicks fans. A lot of them saying, yo, anything we could do to get Donovan Mitchell, I'm fine with. And at first glance, I would agree with
draft picks there might be worth something because the Knicks
they have,
are
I think,
always terrible.
seven draft picks. I think it might be 7 first-round draft picks that they could trade. But they have a
The Jazz
plethora.
already have a ton of draft.
No,
picks.
the Knicks already have draft picks that they could trade.
Oh yeah.
So they have a
so I think
plethora.
those draft picks would be worth something because the Knicks are always horrible.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Although I love the Knicks coach, I like Tom Thibodeau. A lot.
I do too.
But I just don't think they have any players. They have R.J. Barrett, who's an up and coming player,
Yep.
and they had who was the guy that they can't think of his name. He didn't play that well this year. He was counted on to be very good.
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle. He's still with them, right?
Yep.
Trade him.
Yep. I would say get rid of him.
Yeah. They're gonna take more than him to get Donovan Mitchell.
Obviously, yeah. No, obviously, you definitely need to go RJ plus another player probably. With
I think
picks.
they should try to hang on to R.J. Barrett.
It'd be very hard to. Very, very hard to.
I mean, they got nobody else really. They got R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle. Those are the two best players.
Yeah.
And the others are like Derrick Rose. He's too old.
Right.
And they really have nobody else. I don't. Donovan, the other Mitchell, it's a center for them.
Mitchell Robinson.
He's okay. I don't think he's anything.
He's not
special.
that guy. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
And
So I think it's going to be hard for them to land him, Mitchell.
he right now he's the leading one because that's just Knicks fans are saying, yo, give us Donovan Mitchell. We want Donovan
The Knicks
Mitchell.
want him, but the
it'd be
Jazz,
hard to
does
move
he
him.
want to go there?
I guess his best
If
offer.
I were him, any big, I'm surprised more big players don't want to come to New York, to the Knicks.
Because they suck.
Well, if 2 or 3 of them got together like they did, I don't know why didn't Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant agree to come to the Knicks together instead of going to the Nets?
That was the big question.
Yeah, why? Why didn't they do that? I mean, the Knicks are they're a marquee franchise, even though they've stunk for so long.
They played
They're
MSG.
still they play at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball,
Yeah.
right? So why didn't those guys go there? I don't understand it.
At first glance, like I said, it would be a great idea. But as I look deeper into it, right, your two guards would be Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, who they just got this offseason. They are great on the offensive side, but they are not great defenders. Not good defenders at all.
I don't know why. Tom Thibodeau is a defensive-minded coach. He's got to get into their heads and tell them, like the Celtics coach did, you play defense on every play,
Right.
not just when you feel like it. You do it on every play. Every play we play good defense, and that turned that team around.
No, it did. No, absolutely.
So
And you saw that.
He should point that out to the Knicks players and say, play defense on every play, or you'll be sitting on the bench.
Yeah, but I mean, this ain't like intramural basketball. You can't just bench a all-star player. But I think you would need to blow up the team. You would really need it would be like a Carmelo Anthony trade. Blow everything up to get him, and I just don't think that's a great
So they
idea.
have 2 guards, nobody else.
It's essentially, with talent-wise, you would need to give up
What is
RJ Barrett.
Barrett's position?
RJ Barrett he's more so of a forward, but he could play guard and forward.
I think it'd be good to try to hang on to him.
It'd be hard. It'd be hard.
Brunson, him, and Mitchell. That could be a core.
It
That
could be.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe instead of RJ Barrett, give up some. I mean, I would say Emmanuel quickly, but he's younger than RJ Barrett.
I'd give him up in a heartbeat.
Really?
Yeah. He's not that
Interesting.
good. Yeah,
He's young.
He's young, but that's why he's not that good. He hasn't been like his rookie year. He showed a little stuff, but this past year, did he have a great year? What
Not
are his
a great.
stats?
This past year, 11 points a game,
Yeah.
3 assists, 3
Yeah,
rebounds.
3 assists. He's a point guard.
He's projected this year to have 18.8 points a game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. That's his projection.
How many turnovers does he have? A game?
Turnovers per game is the projection is 1.9. Last year was 1.3. He doesn't turn the ball
That's
over
not
that
too
much.
bad.
He doesn't turn the ball over that much.
I still don't think he's ever going to be a superstar.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to this one. We're just
The
gonna
Knicks need 2 or 3 superstars
Yeah.
on their team, and then
Yeah.
that will make all the difference in the world in New York basketball. And why they haven't been able to pull it off is beyond me. We could have managed the team better than it's been managed, right? They could have gone out and I could have landed Chris Paul for them, right?
potentially
Somewhere along the way. Look at all the
Potentially.
teams he's played for,
Yeah.
right? You could have landed Chris Paul, even though he's getting up there, right?
I mean,
he's still playing.
Chris Paul
right?
might be a curse though. He's lost 2 Game 7s in
Well,
2
he
consecutive
better-
years.
I mean, how cursed could he be with the Knicks? I mean, they've been cursed for so long.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
Yeah.
That's true. So we're staying on the topic of basketball. News broke yesterday. DeAndre Ayton, who is a restricted free agent, which is big in this one because he signed a 4-year, $133 million deal to the Pacers, a record-breaking deal
For the Pacers?
to the Pacers.
He's leaving Phoenix?
The Suns matched it.
Oh, the Suns.
The Suns
Yeah.
matched it. He's a restricted free agent.
Oh.
So the Suns had the opportunity, had 48 hours to match the deal. Within, I
And
think,
they
like
did?
6 hours, they matched it. Which is it's a massive deal for DeAndre Ayton because originally they said that he was not worth that type of money. The big key about this is, in this year, he cannot be traded. He has to be on the Suns at least this year.
Yep.
That's part of this matching thing. You cannot get rid of DeAndre Ayton this year. He has to stay on the Suns, which means he can't be used as a trading ploy to get Kevin Durant. I think as it is right now, Kevin Durant, him and the Suns, no chance in hell it's working. 0. So get the Suns off the board. I don't think the Suns have a chance at landing him. They don't have a lot of room to pay him. The assets they have do not match up to really anyone else. And this is going to be crazy to say, but I don't care. I think if you're looking at the best chance to win, is which Kevin Durant's trying to do. If you want to go to a team, for the Nets at least in their case, of getting the most assets out of Kevin Durant that you could possibly get, the one team that I think that would be the best fit for both teams, meaning to win for the Warriors and to get assets for the Nets, is the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors have the most assets to give up. They will pay Kevin Durant because their owner is willing to pay the luxury tax. A lot of teams aren't willing to pay the luxury tax. The Warriors are willing to pay the luxury tax.
Okay.
And it came out that Steph Curry has been in contact with Kevin Durant
Oh.
about a potential reunion and where his head's at
Yeah.
in terms of a potential reunion.
So who are the Warriors going to have to give up to get Durant?
The ones that keep coming up are
Poole.
Moses Moody, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and James Wiseman. Maybe not all 4 of them, but a
Well,
combination.
they should try to
of
hang
some.
on to Wiggins. He had a great finals.
I would say try to hang on to Jordan Poole because you don't have a backup guard.
But you've got Steph Curry at your guard.
He's 33 or 34
So
years
what?
old.
They're playing for the NBA. They play for the championship every year. They built particularly the Warriors, right? I guess the last 2 years they had those injuries, so they were terrible. But did they get anybody? Did anyone come out of that in the 2 years that they were horrible that played well?
James Wiseman.
Okay.
Moses Moody.
Okay, both those guys.
Jordan
huh?
Poole was
Jordan Poole.
He was a
So that worked out well for them.
He was a third-team G League player, and he's averaging 20 points a game in the NBA.
Yeah.
And the fact they didn't win Most Improved, that blew my mind because John Morant was good 2 years ago.
I agree with
he
you.
got it
I
last
agree
year.
with you. Durant to the Warriors, if Steph Curry wants him there, is the best move
Because at this point,
for Durant and for everybody.
and
right?
Curry, I don't know if this is a rumor.
I mean,
or
with
if Curry
Durant
said
and
this,
Curry, they can, and they still have Klay Thompson,
but still have Klay Thompson. They still
right?
have
And they'll still have
Draymond Green.
Looney
They
and
still have Looney.
Draymond Green.
Yep.
You know what? They can find some role players, right?
Yeah.
So they could give up some of those guys. It'd be nice if they could hang on to Wiggins, but
It would be.
if
but-
the Celtics are going to face him again next year in the finals, I don't want Wiggins there. So get rid of him.
It really depends on, at this point, it depends obviously on the package that the Nets can get, because the Nets think he's world class, but the things you can get, you may get 75 cents to the dollar based on Kevin Durant. I don't think you'll get a dollar to dollar trade.
No, he's had that Achilles injury.
Right.
He has an Achilles heel. Right. He's had that injury. That's a bad one. Not many people come back from that. He managed to. He had a great year last year.
Yeah.
But he is getting older, so
No,
they'll be playing for the They're just playing to win the championship if they do that kind of a trade.
A huge thing that I think would be dependent on whether Kevin Durant goes to the Warriors or not is how he wants his image to appear. Because it would be
they'll be taking him for 4 years if they get him, right?
It'd be a very desperate move on Kevin Durant's part, because
to go to the Warriors.
Yes, because then it is, I need you guys more than you need me. You've won twice without me.
No, but then he'll prove that he'll be the shining star above all the other players, like he did before.
Yes.
When they said that about him before, he's just going there to win a championship. They can always win without him. He was the MVP twice.
True.
Right.
True. And he probably would have won MVP again if he didn't get hurt versus the Raptors.
Yeah.
But the Warriors now, and the fan base knows, and they sort of knew when he first got there that it was Curry's team. But now they know that it really is Curry's team, because they won before Kevin Durant, and then they've won after Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant, if he went there, would be
you
just
don't
to
think
say,
the
I
Warriors
would
fans want Kevin Durant back?
I honestly,
I bet they do.
No, any team, if you could just say, would you want Kevin Durant? Like, no, if not looking into it, not thinking about, okay, this won't actually work. If you just said, if you're any other team and it said, Kevin Durant, I'll give it to you. Hell yeah, you would want Kevin Durant. Any team would want Kevin Durant. But it's the fact that if Kevin Durant did not care about his image, I think he would try to. It'd be very, very difficult for any team to have this move work, because the requirements the Nets need, right, asking a team to give, is hard for any team to get around to even get him. So now it's starting to come up that Kevin Durant may be forced to stay with the Nets, and Kyrie Irving. Or this is not really, we're not talking about Kyrie Irving today, but it came out that Kyrie Irving is now, he never actually wanted to leave the Nets.
You know what? Kyrie Irving, one day he says one thing, next day he says another. You can't believe a word that guy says. He is totally unreliable in terms of what he says. I wouldn't when he talks, he might as well just be going blah 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 blah.
But yeah, so Kyrie Irving will stay. The question is, though, will Kevin Durant be forced to stay?
I think Kevin Durant, he'll find a way to get to the Warriors or Miami.
I think Miami is probably the more reasonable of the two, but the best
I don't think
choice.
they've got the talent to give the Nets what they want, where the Warriors would, and it wouldn't hurt the Warriors much to do it if they could keep that core, right? Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Looney.
You would be blowing up your future, though, just for instant success.
You don't, but 2 years. You got 2 or 3 years, probably 3 years.
You have 4 on the contract.
I know, but so what? I mean, if you won 3 more championships, 4 in a row,
you would have more than Jordan.
Wouldn't you go for it?
Curry would have more than Jordan if that's the case.
Yeah. So wouldn't he? That's why he's calling up Kevin
Draymond.
Durant and say, "Hey, why don't you come back and play with us? We'd love to have you."
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And a huge thing about Curry's selflessness is not about making himself great. It's just about winning at this point, right? So that's why. And a huge factor, a huge motivation of even contacting Kevin Durant, and this came out, was that he wants to have more than LeBron. Because think about that feat for a second. LeBron James, who's considered by some, I'm not gonna say most, the greatest player of all time. I think it's Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Greatest
player
yes.
of all time.
But it's been an argument for years, half a decade. Who's better, Jordan, LeBron, Jordan? So the fact that Curry may end up with more championships than LeBron, that's a huge accomplishment to have. I think regardless, Finals MVP or not, that would right now I think it's a little bit fluid. I said this when I made my top 10 NBA players list. It's fluid. Right, so Curry may fall out, may stay in. I think if he wins another chip, he'd be solidified in the top 10. If he wins 5 championships,
oh yeah, I agree.
He may be 6th, 7th maybe if he wins 5, because then he'd be battling Magic Johnson for most chips. Magic Johnson's the greatest point guard ever. I'm saying that right now. But if Curry wins 1, 2 more, I think Magic is 5, so you win 6. Do you put him over? He's already the greatest shooter of all time.
I think if he got 7, he'd be put ahead of Magic.
I think if you put him at 7, I think he goes top 4, top 3 maybe. If you win 7 championships,
Yeah.
how many players have more? What Jordan has 6. He went 6-0.
Yeah.
You have Bill Russell
Yeah.
with 11. Jordan with 6.
That's,
Anyone
no
have
one
7?
has 7 that I know of.
No, more than 6 even. 6 or more.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan has 5.
So he has a good shot at getting 7.
If he gets 7, he's top 3.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. Top 3 we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, his best chance of getting 7 is to have Kevin Durant come back and play with him.
But once again, you need to give up your future. But if you want
Their
instant
future?
success,
What do you mean? 3 years? Are they going to win 3 championships in a row? Who gives
Right.
a damn about that's the
Right.
future.
No, but
that's the future.
but
3
you're-
years is an eternity in the NBA.
No,
Right?
okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Because I mean, just the NBA, it's become a league where the players are very much in control of what happens, and that's what David Stern didn't
Which is
want.
a shame. I think it's a shame.
David Stern did not. He hated moves in the NBA. Hated them. And now Silver,
Yeah.
he's trying to say, okay, you know what? We'll chill a little bit. Chill. We got to calm this down. He doesn't like the Kevin Durant wanted out of Brooklyn. And a lot of teams, James Harden, for instance, he's probably the more recent one who was unhappy and left twice. He left the Rockets, and they went up and left the Nets mid-season, or towards the end of the season. So these moves are pretty ridiculous. Anything else we have left in the show? Do you have anything left? Any final conclusion?
It's not the Harvey hour tonight. It's a Harvey 2 hour.
It's Harvey hour and a half right now. We're going live. Just because we're on here, I'll because the Red Sox are winning against the Yankees 2-0. By the way,
That won't last. I am so.
Hey, Evaldi's pitching though.
I'm so disappointed in them.
The Rays series
You know what?
was very sad.
They can't beat anybody in their own division. They haven't
They're
won.
they're
they have
11 and
not
24.
won. They have not won a series in their division this year.
They're 11 and
That is
24 in the
ridiculous.
AL
How
East.
did they put a team together that can't win any series in their own division? The best they've done is tie the Yankees for one series, a 4-game series.
Yeah.
They can't beat the Rays. The Rays slaughtered them.
Yep.
Right? They can't beat Baltimore. Baltimore is playing better now. They got to watch out.
Baltimore.
Baltimore is they won 8 in a row here recently.
They're right now last 10. They're 10-0.
10-0.
10-0.
Oh, yeah.
They have now. Oh my God! They're 2.5 games out of fourth place now.
And who's in 4th right now?
The Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Well, no,
The Blue Jays-
I'm sorry. They're 2.5 games out of 3rd and 4th. We're tied with the Blue Jays right now. The Red Sox are tied with the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
If they win 3 games, we lose 3 games. They're now 3rd place in the AL East.
And they'll be a playoff team, right?
They'd be there. They would have a.
So they're going to try really hard. They've never got anything, and now they have some decent players. They've got the Red Sox problem is their pitching. Their bullpen stinks.
Yeah.
It's they got it in the flea market. They got their bullpen in a flea market. Yeah. It's terrible. They don't know who the roles are for the players. I think there's some decent pitchers there, but they don't know what roles they play. One night they're a closer, the next night they're a setup guy, and then the starter doesn't do well, and they're in there in the third or fourth inning. I don't know. I think there's a very good article I read about them, and they said that they're a team in transition, but they've got some big contracts. They're going to unload them, and they're going to go. They're going to build from within. They've got some good players in the farm system. They're going to bring them up.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
They're going to give Devers a big contract, and
better.
he'll be the core. They'll build around him.
But David Ortiz agrees that the heart of the team is Rafael Devers.
Yeah, and he is, I think.
But you have.
They get rid of J.D. Martinez. That guy, he cannot hit.
That's the only
He can't
move.
hit the low and outside slider. He's a sucker for it. He goes for it every time. They throw a slider to him, low and outside, and he swings.
It's
outside the strike
It's like a
zone.
half-hearted swing, though. It's not even that he's trying. He just lays it out there.
Lays it out there and doesn't even make contact.
If I'm going to say this right now, if they lose Xander Bogaerts, that is going. You cannot fill Xander Bogaerts' hole. I'm sorry.
I'll cry when he leaves.
You
team.
cannot.
I love that guy.
Yes, you have Trevor Story, but Trevor Story said himself.
Trevor Story is not that good.
Trevor Story said himself. He's there to play second base. He's not there to be the shortstop.
Yeah.
And if they lose Xander Bogaerts, you can't replace Xander Bogaerts, even if Trevor Story goes back to shortstop. They need to keep Rafael Devers, and they need to keep Xander Bogaerts. That's going to be incredibly hard to do. But in order to be successful, you need to keep both of them.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that.
Let JD Martinez go. Yes, he is batting 300. But
Xander
still.
Bogaerts is getting up there in age, right?
What is he? Yeah, I'll look up his age right now. But my guess is he's under 30 years old.
I love the guy. He's been a great player for the Red Sox, and he's
29.
He's 29. So, Somebody's going to give him a massive contract, Nate.
Oh,
you
it's,
know?
yeah. We're talking like we're
Yeah,
probably talking
he's gonna get a massive contract.
7 years, 290
yeah, something like
$90
that.
million
Yeah.
or something.
Well,
like
maybe not quite that much,
Nah,
but he's going to get a massive
that. Maybe.
contract.
No, he will.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely will. I
And
think.
JD Martinez will be gone. They're not going to keep him, so it's
no,
going to be.
I think he might get a decently big contract too. He's 34.
Yeah, but he's not going to be with the Red Sox. So
No, absolutely. He's 34 years old.
Yeah.
He might only get like a 2-3 year, maybe even that.
Yeah.
Maybe a 1-year contract. But I don't think the Red Sox don't need to keep
Kike
Kike.
Hernandez. He'll be gone next year. I don't think they'll have him. He's a
Really?
disappointment this year. He's been hurt.
He's
and
hurt.
Can't hit.
Yeah.
You know, I think they
What's his
like
contract?
the young players. You know, they've been starting rookie pitchers almost every game here, but now they've got the. I think they try to make a run in the second half. You know, if they get people healthy.
Right.
But I think they're basically blow that team up next year. Stick with the young talent. They need to get some. They need to be more like the Rays. The Rays don't. Who the Rays got? Who are their big names?
Their pitching.
Wander Franco.
Wander Franco. You
Yeah,
have
who else they have on offense? It's a big name. Nobody. They have some great pitching.
They have phenomenal pitching.
Great pitching beats good
Was
hitting.
it Callahan? Callahan's
Yeah,
lights out.
McCallahan.
Lights out. You
You got Corey Kluber too. He's having a good year
Yeah,
now. If he
yeah.
can stay healthy.
oh, we're idiots. Randy Rosarena. He's
Yeah,
good.
He's a good player.
He's good.
Yeah. I like the Rays. The Red Sox beat the Rays last year in the playoffs. So
They did.
I think they're playing for that. You know, they're hoping they'll sneak in there with the 1-game playoff
Yeah.
and surprise people and win one of those games to try to get to a series, which would be with the Yankees, right? Which would
Yep.
probably be a short series. But they better smarten up here pretty quick because what's their record now? They must be almost back to 500.
The
They
Red
were
Sox?
up at what's their record?
4 games. 4 games.
4 games over 500?
Yep.
That's terrible. They were 10 games over 500. They've been losing,
2-8 in
losing.
their last 10.
2-8.
It's
They lost 6 games
it's
off
bad.
that.
But yes, they are 2.5 games back from last place, but they're also 2.5 games just behind second place. So
Are they still a playoff team?
now, let's see. Let me look that up for you right now. If I had to say off the top of my head, I would say no. That's me though. No, they are. There's four wild card teams.
3, I think.
I think it's 4 right here because you have the Rays, Mariners, Blue Jays, Red Sox. Because like the first team behind is the Orioles at a game and a half behind.
So the Red Sox are
they-
still
they-
in there.
No, they expanded the playoffs. I think this year.
Yeah, they
right?
did. One
Yeah,
more
so,
team, yeah.
So the Red Sox is in it. Yeah, the Red Sox are in
Well, that's amazing.
a game and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, a game and a half from the Orioles. So not looking too
That's
good.
why they expanded it. So a team that's a little better than 500 to have a chance to get in there and lose one playoff. Right?
Hey, it's more money.
Yeah.
More games, more money.
No, I'm still rooting for them. I still love them. They're my team, always will be. But I'm disappointed in the last 10 or 12 games that they can't beat anybody in their own division. That's bad.
The Red Sox
Haven't helped when they get back to playing Baltimore again. They couldn't beat them before. Then Baltimore's better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot if we talked about it. Not the last Harvey hour. Maybe the Harvey hour before then. When I said the Red Sox were the 7th best team in the MLB, they're now 12th out of the top 10.
They're out of the top 10.
They're the 12th best team in the MLB. The Dodgers, though, the Dodgers and Astros are both tied for 2nd best in the MLB. The Astros have had a great comeback.
Yankees are considered number 1.
Yankees are number 1 with 6. They're 62 and 27.
I hate the Yankees.
They've been losing though. They've been losing. They're 4 and 6 in the last 10.
62 and 27.
Yeah, you could lose some
You're gonna
games if you
coast
have that
to the
much. Yeah,
playoffs.
yeah,
You coast to the division win.
yeah. The Brewers are up there though. The Brewers.
Yeah, well, the Brewers have Hunter Renfroe.
They do,
right? Yeah.
and
we have Jackie Bradley.
I
We're
told you.
paying twice as much money for as Hunter Renfro's making.
I told
That
you.
was a stupid move.
I told you that. On the Harvey hour, I told you.
They
that,
were
that's gonna
pissed
be a
at Hunter
dumb move.
Renfro because he didn't play well in the playoffs
He
last
shrinks
year.
it.
But
No,
they
he
got to the playoffs. They almost got to the World Series.
Yeah, they do.
So
yeah.
they should have hung on to him. That was a mistake.
Hunter Renfroe
Although he's
right
been
now-
hurt.
Hunter Renfro's batting 243 with
10 home runs,
13
I think.
13
home runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hurt. He's been hurt, though.
56 games, 13 home runs.
Yeah.
That's
not bad.
That's a pretty good average.
It's very good. You need that power, you know. The Red Sox don't have it this year. I love Verdugo.
Yep.
He's a great player.
He's been clutch the past
he's been
couple
playing
of games.
very well. He started off horrible.
Yep.
But I think the Red Sox suffered from not having a long enough spring training.
Yeah, that's what he
that
said.
hurt
But I think it's up to
They
Alex
went to
Cora to
10
get
and
them into shape.
19, you know?
Yeah.
But they're on a bad streak right now. Hopefully they close out better against the Yankees for the before they get to the All-Star game.
Right.
Where's the All-Star game being played?
Ooh, let's see. I have no clue. I think L.A. Dodger
L.A.
Stadium.
Oh, wow.
So, there it is. I think, unless you have nothing else to say, do you have any concluding thoughts, arguments, things you want to say?
I hope we have a great weekend.
Yeah, it's
I hope
Friday.
everyone out there has a great weekend. Watch our show. I know it's a marathon to watch our show.
Yeah, we're at
a lot of
hour 42 right now.
good stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson. Yeah. Mac Jones.
I want to see that again, right, real quick. Let's look at that. Zach Wilson again.
There he
number
is.
10.
He looks pretty young, doesn't he?
He's half Brady's age.
Yeah.
He's 23 years old right now.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the league. Maybe he doesn't make it to number 10 this year, but we'll see. We'll keep these lists. We'll see at the end of the year how it comes out.
Well, no, your list you need to change throughout the year because you're saying at the end this is the way it's going to look without Zach Wilson in there. Put Lamar at like the 8 spot.
I put Lamar at 10.
10? Okay, Lamar at 10. So replace Zach Wilson, superimpose Lamar Jackson into it, right?
Superimpose him over there. That was a mistake. I should have put Lamar in.
It was a joke. Okay, so basically,
Really, how much I defended Lamar in our little debate.
Yeah. But hey, Lamar is going to make the playoffs because that division is the division. Not going to do well in the playoffs.
They're in the Browns division. There's 2 wins for them right there.
Yeah, especially if they don't have Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to. The NFL can't let him come play week 1.
I agree with that.
There's no
completely.
way.
I agree with that completely. Hands down, I agree with that. But I think for this episode of the Harvey Hour, thanks for anyone who tuned in today. It's another great show. This one's the longest one to date. We're at an hour 42 minutes right now for the Harvey Hour. It started off a bit rough though. First 5 minutes or so of I live streamed it. It just wasn't ready to.
Oh, that's okay.
That's all
we made up for it. An hour and 42 minutes.
It's a very long show.
Yeah.
Very, very long show. But yeah, for this Harvey Hour, we're gonna wrap it up.
Bonus time. You got bonus time.
Yeah, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We
Bye-bye.
are the Harvey Hour. We'll
Have a
catch
great
you
weekend.
guys very soon. Thank you all for
Bye-bye.
watching.